So you might have seen the video title, which I assume is going to be called something along the lines of, I don't really consider myself a gamer. And I felt like it was a video that I really wanted to make talking about this particular term, gamer. To be honest, when I started this channel, it was mostly to understand what was so enjoyable about gaming. I did play a few games before I started the channel, but it wasn't particularly at a hobby level. At most, I would pick it up and then drop it after a week. That was pretty much the extent of my gaming experience, which is why I never really considered myself a gamer. And to be quite frank, I just don't really have the strong active desire to want to play games. So this is also why I started my channel, because I really wanted to understand, and the fact that my husband really loves games made me want to understand why and to hopefully discover that reason myself. And I do find that I enjoy games a lot more than I did when I first started the channel, especially with the amount of stories I was able to encounter, the lore, the community, and just trying out various types of gameplay that I would have never chosen to pick up myself if I didn't have a channel. So the opportunity was great and I really appreciated that, but I do want to talk about this in a bit more casual but deeper discussion without any edits to really make you guys go all nuts over. I really don't know how to explain it, but it's not scripted. I have a sort of notes on what I wanted to talk about, but it's mostly just things that I had discussions with my community, with the people I've talked to, and things like that. So I do want to first start off by having the definition of gamer. According to Oxford Dictionary, it says that a gamer is a person who plays video games or participates in role-playing games. Now, I don't consider myself a gamer. One, because I feel like a gamer is someone who's supposed to be passionate about gaming. That was the definition I had in my head prior to having a channel and trying out multiple different games. I always thought of them as someone who's passionate, actively playing it. Even if they have other hobbies, gaming would be their main hobby, and that is what I consider a gamer to be. Now, I am quite curious what you define a gamer to be, so do let me know down below what your definition is, but that is pretty much what I had in mind. So I have some really strange, requirements for a game. And I know a lot of my community members are aware of this because I do talk to them quite often about this, and especially last night I talked about it in depth with my mod and with a longtime community member about this. But I have a condition where if a game takes forever to open, I close out of it. And then after 3 times, I delete it, uninstall it. I don't play it ever again unless something interesting happens, then maybe I'll play it and give it another chance. And at first, I thought that was a pretty normal thing until I was told that it's not normal to have such conditions. But for me, I realized that it's probably because of my previous occupation as QA engineer. I had to do a lot of testing with that kind of stuff. If something's slow, then I had to report it. And I think because of that, it was partially PTSD from that occupation, but also I'm someone who values my time a lot, and especially since I have to take care of the household and also have various life obligations and other hobbies, I just don't prioritize gaming. Gaming is very much just a separate thing from me, where it's for content, but I enjoy the content. But it's mostly just for content. I don't have a strong desire to want to play outside of that kind of thing. And because of that, I don't consider myself as a gamer, but also because of my weird requirements. For example, if a game takes forever to open, I close out of it. Even if it's 0.01 seconds late, then I close out of it. The moment I lose that interest of playing because it takes forever in my terms, I guess, I drop it. And I don't really know why I still don't have this, I guess, tolerance, but I just don't have the desire to wait for a game to open and play it. It has to either open right there and then, or I'll never play it, or have the multi-screen, so it feels like I'm progressing instead of staring at one screen. It's just the way I am, but again, it's also why I consider myself not a gamer, because I expect a gamer to at least have the patience to wait until the game opens, to play it and enjoy it. But I just never had the strong desire. But I also found it interesting that one of my community members said that while you don't consider yourself a gamer, the fact that you play games in the first place and enjoy them makes you one in my eyes. And I thought about it. I do play games, technically, for this channel, and I do enjoy them when I play them, but outside of my channel, I don't think I actually enjoy the games, nor do I really play them for gameplay. And I actually consider myself more of a story consumer rather than a gamer, if that makes sense, because I don't have like a fascination for gameplay at all. Like, even if I enjoy it mildly, or at least to a degree where I can make content for it, I don't care for it outside of that. Which might be weird, and honestly I think it's weird too that I'm like this, but it's just the way I am. And it's also why I don't consider myself a gamer too. Like, there are so many reasons that pile up where I feel like I'm not a gamer, but then some people tell me that I am one. And so I'm curious, do you consider me a gamer, even if sure, I am gaming to create content, and I enjoy that whole process, including the playing the games part. But I don't play it outside of the channel stuff, which is why it's very hard for me to accept that I'm a gamer. Gaming has never been my hobby. I know a lot of people who are gaming content creators on YouTube are pretty much all gamers. Like, they played games offline, they played games since they were young, and they really enjoyed it. But for me, at most, I might have like played a little bit of like MMOs, like let's say Dragon Nest and some anime MMO type stuff. Or yeah, that's pretty much it. But other than that, I never really like bought a game. I never had a console. I guess the most I had console-wise was a Nintendo DS to play Pokemon Ruby, and that was the only game I played, and never played any more games after that. So it's kind of difficult for me to put myself into the mindset that I am a gamer, because I also don't really like have a strong desire to get through a difficulty level. Like, if I reach a point where I'm struggling, I just don't enjoy it. And if I don't enjoy it, I drop it. Maybe that's a healthier mindset, or maybe it's not, but this level of enjoyment is very complicated for me. Or maybe it's not too complicated, but inside of me, I just don't feel like I'm a gamer. Like, it's not a main hobby, but it is my channel stuff, which is kind of weird. But it's also not something I crave for or actively care for. Because if I had to drop all games without even considering my channel, I'm okay with doing that. Because I have lived, let's see, I am 30 now, so for the past 25 years plus, I've never played games as a hobby. And maybe because of that, I don't really mind if I had to drop all of them and never play games ever again. Not that I would stay away from the community, or even like videos about games, because those are very interesting, but I'm also okay with never playing the games, as long as I can understand the lore and consume the story, which is why I consider myself a story consumer. It's kind of a complicated relationship that I have with gaming, because I started off trying to enjoy game and trying to game so I can share a hobby with my husband, but it ended up being something a little bit more complex inside of me. Because I am okay with now with not sharing that kind of hobby with my husband, but now I have more of a selfish reason for wanting to game a little bit, at least for my channel, which is to consume more stories. Because there are a lot of interesting stories for the games that people have recommended, but I just don't have the time or even the patience to actually like game and go through the whole experience, even though, and I know you guys will comment this most likely or grab pitchforks and be like, you're not a gamer, how dare you, or gatekeeper or something like that, but not that I think you guys are that horrible, but I'm pretty sure there are people like that though. But I do believe that because there's so many stories out there in games that I've never experienced since, like I said, I never played games in pretty much almost my entire life. So it's very intriguing to experience and see the games through the people who are passionate about it, which is also why I'm reacting to a lot of video essays about game stories and everything. Even though I know that people would want me to experience the game as it is, like actually playing the game, which I get it. That's how I feel about anime, dramas, light novels, webtoons. You can only get the full experience when you're actually diving into it firsthand. But we don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of games, but there's only one person, me. And 24 hours a day, but 8 of those hours need to be done with sleeping, and half of my day is spent on household, my family, and more important life obligations than gaming. So it gives me mixed feelings because I do feel some level of guilt of not being able to consume the games. Even though I know how passionate my community is about certain games, I just don't have time. And I think because I don't have time, and because I don't have the active desire to play games all the time, it's difficult for me to pick up a game and open it. I feel a level of pressure that I need to, even though it's not something I truly enjoy, which is why I don't consider it my main hobby. It doesn't relieve stress, because when I think of hobbies, I think of something that relieves stress, but gaming does not do that for me. There's a certain level of stress except for when I'm reading the story or experiencing the story aspects. If I could, I would just watch someone play the whole game. I would be okay with that. That's how much of a non-gamer that I think I am. And I do wonder how many of you guys are actually story consumers rather than actual gamers, or at least with my definition of active gamers. Even and this goes for both gacha and non-gacha games, I just don't feel a strong desire. So for example, in gacha games, if you are new to this channel and haven't played gacha games, in gacha games there are things like dailies and weeklies. You have to open the game, complete a set of tasks in order to gain currency to pull on characters. I just don't do it. I don't open the game for dailies, I don't do weeklies either, and I don't pull. If I have enough currency, then I might pull then, but for the most part, I just forget that the banner exists. And maybe that's a little weird. I also don't really care about meta either, which for some reason, a lot of people are really obsessed with that, and I really don't understand why. But if they're playing it for gameplay only, then I guess that makes sense. But it just feels like the obsession is going a little bit too overboard. Almost as if it's a job rather than a fun activity. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but let me know down below. I'm curious about your thoughts on the whole being obsessed with meta, not being able to treat games as just a fun thing. And maybe it's the competitive side of people that's compelling them to want to play games that way, but that sounds very stressful. And in some ways, I do believe it creates a level of stress that makes gaming no longer fun, especially for those that play things like PvP or competitive type games like League of Legends and whatnot. Like from what I can see, you guys, you guys are going nuts over there, but that's also why I don't play those, because I'm just not a competitive person and it's unpleasant. Like I don't like playing things and spending time on something that's supposed to be fun, but is making me utterly miserable. And maybe it's the, sunk cost fallacy, but I just don't understand why they can't separate themselves from the game. Because the game isn't you, and you are not the game. You are supposed to be using the game as a source of stress release, or stress relief, right? Is that how all of you guys play games? Because I enjoy the process of creating content on games. I only play the games when I actually want to. And that is very rare, just so you know. Thankfully, having the channel has helped me create better habits of opening the games and playing them, but even then it's like very minimal. I think like I open a game once a month per game. So it's like what, maybe three times-ish? Yeah, and even then it's like maybe for 30 minutes max, because that's the amount of time I enjoy it, and then I just stop because I'm tired. That's the other thing. Games make me really tired, which is also why like I just don't consider it a main hobby. I don't know how people can play it and not get tired. But maybe it's because a lot of you guys played it since you were young, so it feels stress relieving. But for me, I don't feel that way. And it's really weird. I don't understand. I thought that maybe when I started my channel, I would truly learn to enjoy games, but the more I'm in the gaming sphere and learning from other people, the more I realize that maybe my approach towards gaming is a bit healthier. Like when I have like multiple hobbies. I watch anime, I watch dramas, I like to read light novels, web novels. I also like to read webtoons. I don't stick to one. When I feel like it, I watch just anime for a straight while. And then when I'm tired of that, then I go to a different hobby, which is basically reading webtoons, and then go on, so forth. And even then it's like genre specific sometimes. But I feel like for gaming, it feels very different. Like you have to be loyal to a game. You have to put down other things because you want to elevate your favorite. It just feels very, not that there's no toxicity and weird mentalities in anime and video game, or no, not video games, but anime, I guess, dramas and things like that, but it just feels like people are not treating it as a separate thing from their identity. Like they're embracing it as a part of them, which is why there's so many fights. I didn't think there would be this many fights. I actually thought you guys were all like super chill and pretty nice people, but I mean, most of you guys are, thankfully, especially in my community. I'm really grateful to my community for just teaching me a lot of things about gaming. But on the other side of the coin, there's so much gatekeeping, so much toxicity, so much obsession. It's kind of terrifying. Not that I wasn't obsessed at one point, because I did used to play Genshin and I was very, very passionate about it. And when the community is tight knit and there's like beautiful stuff going on, then clearly that loyalty can be even stronger. But at the same time, it feels like people equate it as a part of themselves, which I find to be very unhealthy and a bit concerning. So when I look at that and I look at myself, who I just mildly enjoy games and, you know, treat it as something like, okay, it's for content, or oh, I enjoy it, or I don't, I'm gonna drop it. I sometimes think that maybe my view towards game is a little bit better or healthier. And if that's the case, then maybe I'm okay with not being called a gamer, or at least not being considered an active, passionate gamer. Because in some sense, gaming is supposed to be a hobby, right? So that's also why I don't really force myself to play games, even though it's my content, on this channel. But then again, I mostly focus on gacha games, although I'm starting to branch out to different types of videos to react to. But overall, I just don't feel like I'm a gamer at heart. And I still don't think so, even though 2 years have passed. And even non-gacha games stress me out, and they don't really click for me either. So it just feels really difficult to, I guess, label myself as a gamer. It's very difficult for me to force myself to play games. And as long as someone is playing the games mostly for enjoyment rather than obsession, nostalgia, sunk cost fallacy, I think that's a healthy way to go about it, because I did create a poll about asking others. Let me actually pull it up. Yes, so I made a poll that says, when do you drop a game? And everyone mostly talks about the directions the devs are taking, which is understandable, because if whatever the devs are doing are reducing your enjoyment level of a game, then you should be dropping it, right? Or, the second most is life obligations, so no time, which is also understandable. Same with me, I just do not have a strong desire to play games when I have so many life obligations. But I also noticed a lot of people talking about burnout or huge time sink, basically time sink and emotions, which is the most important thing. And I'm actually really glad that a lot of people are saying that. And a lot of the people who do play games mostly for the nostalgia, not because they actually enjoy the game, are at least aware of it. They just need to, I guess, be brave enough or muster up the willpower to step away from a game. And in that sense, I'm really glad that most of you guys are like that, because that's the image I had. Like, you guys know when to not over game or game too much, or let it take over your life, which is bad. Especially if you have other obligations, that's even worse. But it's very concerning when I see some people talk about how they just play it for these very specific reasons, like nostalgia, sunk cost fallacy, or they just try to deny it even though that's the actual reason why they're playing it, even though they are not really enjoying it. It can be quite concerning to see sometimes. And I do hope that if you are in that position, then even if you might pull up your pitchforks now and be like, how dare you, you know nothing, you're just a tourist, whatever. I hope that you will be able to step away from whatever game it is that is not something that you can enjoy, and maybe try a different game that you were always curious about but never played because of your obsession with whatever game that you have. But also, I guess I know I'm kind of going all over the place. Like I said, this isn't really planned. I just have like some notes up. Just wanted to have like a sit down and talk with all of you, but I did have another poll that I actually released today. And I asked what convinces you to start playing a game the most. And the biggest one so far out of 37 votes, I know it's a really small number, but usually it's pretty accurate if it's like way in the lead, and it is like 50% almost, is gameplay. And for me, that is not something I ever look forward to. I've learned with this channel that I really hate card and turn-based games. Limbus Company is like slightly, it's hard for me to I don't view it as turn-based for some reason, even though it is. It's kind of weird for that one. But at the very least, I am very certain of that. So I'm really glad that I at least tried those out before understanding that I just really hate those. But it made me realize that if most people play games for gameplay, which makes sense because games are, they have gameplay, even if they might have story, but it's mostly gameplay, right? Then maybe I have the wrong mindset to even be a gamer, I guess. It's quite odd for me to try to enjoy gameplay. Like, even if I mildly enjoy it, I still haven't found a gameplay that I actually truly enjoyed. And that's something that concerns me a little, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already know and have tried a lot, but have also realized what you enjoy most. But I just don't have that. And I strangely don't have an interest either. I try, but it's very hard to maintain that level of, I will try it and see if I like it. I just don't have that motivation. And maybe it's better that I don't force myself. I don't know. When you think back when you first played games, everything was a novelty because consoles were new, so you would try everything. But for me, I just played outside. I didn't have a console, so I had to learn how to play outside and read books. And to the point that I would read books, everything in the library, because I had nothing else to do. And maybe watch anime because that was all I had, and sometimes tried MMOs because it looked cool with that whole anime-esque design and all whatnot. But it's quite strange to me to know that someone plays a game for gameplay first, which, when I think about it, it makes sense that the majority would be like that. I don't know why it didn't really click in my head though. It's kind of weird to me, like in a good way. It makes sense too. I just don't know why it never really clicked in my head. Which is another reason why I'm like, maybe I'm really not a gamer. I think the last thing though is that, you know how most people typically would want like to upgrade their devices, like a phone if they mostly play mobile games, or get a gaming laptop or a gaming PC and everything, or the newest console. But I really don't care about that. So sometimes I think there's something wrong with me, because I had no problem with selling off my gaming laptop, because I used to have one, because I thought, oh, maybe I should try gaming more. And so I bought a gaming laptop, but guess where it ended up? It stayed in the closet for lots and lots of days, and the only time I would pull it out was when my sister wanted to play Genshin co-op with me, and that was like once a week, maybe. So I sold that off. But then I thought to myself, oh, maybe I want to continue playing, certain PC games. So I bought this like handheld computer thing. Kind of looks like a PS Vita, at least according to people. I never had one. I told you I never had a console before. So I had this like gaming PC handheld thing. But guess where that stayed? In the closet. Surprise, right? So I gave that to my sister because she at least games a lot more than me. And so that's what happened. So that's another reason why I don't feel like I'm a gamer. My husband's a gamer for sure, but I don't have the same passion as him. I have more passion about creating content and trying all various hobbies and spending time with family. But I really don't have a strong desire to play like upgraded games or new games. Like, they look cool, don't get me wrong. All these games look amazing, but do I have a desire to play them? I don't know. I don't think so. And back when I first started my channel, I was a little disturbed by my emotions and my thoughts about it. But now, I feel like I'm comfortable with the idea that I will never be a gamer. And if you do consider me a gamer, I would think that I'm an extremely casual gamer, like not even just a regular casual gamer? No, I am an extremely casual gamer in that case. Such is the life of someone who never gamed since they were young, right? Maybe? Or if you are a new gamer, as in you also recently played games or started playing games, let me know how your journey went, or if you even made it this far. Like I said, I'm blabbering all over the place, so if you actually did get this far, thank you very much. I would love to hear your journey as a gamer, or if you actually don't consider yourself a gamer, or at least by my definition, or if you have a different definition for what gamer should be. I quite find this whole topic very interesting. I don't know, maybe if people enjoy this kind of talk, then I'll do more of these sit-down talks with random various topics that you might request. But this was something I really wanted to talk about because of the conversation I had in my server, but also it was something that stressed me out and quite bothered me over the years while I started this channel. So I hope you enjoyed my TED Talk quotes right there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!